Good morning to those who already joined. We will wait maybe 1 to 2 minutes just for the late birds before we start. Should we begin?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay. Then, welcome to this online live demo, the first one this year. We are super excited because it's a huge release, I would say. So let's jump right in, I would suggest. Let's see what the agenda says. And apologies, our internet is a bit tested today, so it might seem a bit slow. All right, first of all, we will have an overview of this release with some just bullet points. Then Martin will take care of the live demo with the new features. We will have a tiny outlook what's upcoming. And as usual, in the end, you can send us your questions in the tiny chat box you can see, and then we will give our very best to answer all of your questions. As usual, this webinar is recorded and we will upload it to YouTube later on. Okay. Before we start, I have some words to say. We also mentioned this in our newsletter and also in our release notes, but just in case you missed it, to avoid any confusion, we did a quick streamlining process to just focus on our offerings for you. Therefore, we renamed our solutions. As you know, they were named Traffic Intelligence, Parking Monitoring, and Traffic Safety, and we changed that to just put a better focus on it and to support you better with our solutions. So now they are called Traffic Insights, Parking Insights, and Advanced Traffic Insights. To just did a better sharing of it. Could you show me the next slide, please? Sure. Because we did that, we also focused on our usage areas where you can use our solutions. So for example, urban would be the perfect usage area for traffic insights, as well as advanced traffic insights and parking insights. And you can just combine the single solutions to put out the perfect overall solution for your use case. For example, parking insights, it's quite mandatory for the tourism aspect. If you have a nice touristic area and need to monitor all the parking lots and so on. Just a quick heads up before we dive into it to avoid confusion. Okay, Martin, let's hear about the release.
Great. Welcome as well from my side. So we are at the first release of this year, the release 2023.1. In order to give you a brief overview about the features which have been added before we jump into the demo. It's mainly, so one big bullet point was to have the advanced traffic insights use case extension. So what we have done there is that we provide you now with the feature in order to gain deeper insights in traffic behaviors for urban, regional, and tourism areas. So you can now retrieve the journey time and the traffic flow distribution by combining several swarm perception boxes, so sensors with each other, and then really answering questions if you're wondering how the traffic flows across several locations, or the journey time and journey or travel time changes over a period of time. I will show you more about this in the demo to show you the workflow and as well what kind of data can be generated and how the output looks like. On top is that we know that the camera settings for a vision-based sensor are essential for having high quality data. So quite a lot of you might know already that the installations and the camera settings, changing them remotely with the outdoor perception boxes is quite challenging or sometimes not possible because you cannot reach the camera. That's why we are introducing a feature that you can really change the settings from the swarm control center, change the settings of the camera directly. On a technical perspective, this works via the standard communication. It's an IP-based communication used for surveillance systems. It's the standard on-with. So that means that the camera which are used in order to use this feature, they need to support on-with, and it needs to be activated in the camera during the initial setup. If you order a camera via Swarm, the initial setup is already done before delivery, and on-with will be enabled, so you can start right into the installation process without any further steps. Then what kind of further improvements we have done is that we have worked on the model. So we have several model improvements. One big one is definitely that for parking, the barrier-free parking use case with ANPR, so automatic number plate recognition, have been improved a lot by really changing several model parameters as well as performance enhancements. And we were able to achieve an average accuracy for installations in our performance lab, which are according specification for indoor and outdoor, at 97% accuracy. This accuracy is measured over more than 1,000 vehicles. So this means that it's definitely a considerable measurement which can be trusted. On top, this was already tested in an early availability version with one of our partners in 2 installations, outdoor and indoor, which are validating these accuracy values as well. Then, in order to keep data privacy and data protection on a high level, we are introducing that the preview frame for the configuration is blurred. Which means that you're not able to retrieve any number plates or faces, so no personal data can be retrieved, while still providing all valuable insights for the configuration. We can see this later during the demo how this looks like. This is available, and I will show you that there is an option as well, because for automatic number plate recognition and advanced traffic insights, sometimes it's important to see an unblurred frame. There are options for this only for admin users, but I will show you during the demo. And another topic which we have added is a new configuration option, which is the so-called focus area. Because we know that for quite some of the use cases, not all the area of the video frame is important for the detection. That's why we are introducing a focus area, which means that detections are only considered in the configured area, but we will see as well during the demo how this looks like and what is behind this. This is especially relevant for use cases around advanced traffic insights, so journey time and traffic flow, as well as barrierless parking with ANPR. But we will see this during the workflow in the demo. Okay, then let's jump right into the demo. I will show you everything based on a workflow for the new key feature in the advanced traffic insights. So for journey time and traffic, journey distribution, and you will see, I will refresh the page quickly. So I can show you here, for example, we have 3 cameras, which are at 3 different locations. And we will set up one of these locations now together and see the different features, how they can be used for our advanced traffic insight. So if we open here the camera at Innsbruck Westbahnhof, so it's at here in Innsbruck at the city. Let's see what our internet is doing.
Yeah, that's what I meant. It's a bit wonky today. Thank you for your patience.
So at the end, while it takes a while, I show you that you name the camera. On top, what is new now with the advanced traffic insight is that you can you need to put a coordinate, so a GPS coordinate for each sensor. You can have here the location picker. So if you choose the location picker, you will see that it's a totally wrong location chosen at the moment, somewhere at on the sea. So what we are doing, you can search the address. For example, I search now for Westbahnhof. Shows me the options. I choose the one in Innsbruck. I'm navigated there, and I just click on the map in order to locate the sensor to the right direction. I confirm this. This is needed then later. We will see during the data and in data analytics in order to retrieve the information. We save this information, save and deploy. And what you can see here now is that we already have the video frame, and this is one of the features I mentioned, is that now all the objects are blurred. As you see, the cars are all blurred, so you're not able to read any license plate, which is important for data protection. In case you're an admin user, you have the option to retrieve the camera admin frame, which gives you an unblurred frame. Because for changing the camera settings, it's important to see if the license plate is readable. And here you see it's unblurred. But for example, if you gain access to some of your customers, you give them a user role and they will not be able to see any of this data, personal data in their frame. So then in terms of configuration, if we go to configuration, you will see now what we mentioned, that you have an option to change camera settings on the top right. As you see here, it's now not enabled. Why? Because on-with for this camera is not activated. What needs to be done, and it's really important to do it during initial setup of the camera, to enable on-with. I will show you based on a Hikvision camera how on-with is enabled as an example, but please follow the documentation of the camera manufacturer for these certain cameras. But here, for example, for the Hikvision camera, we log into the configuration of the camera in the camera user interface, and you can then go to network. In network, you have a section advanced settings, and you have the integration protocol on the navigation bar. So what you need to do, you need to enable the on-with, so the open network video interface. And really important, a user needs to be added. So you need to add a user, and it needs to have the same credentials as the camera. So for example, here the camera has the admin credentials, and you need to add the same password as for the camera access. Confirm the password, and you need to put the level at administration in order that you allow to change settings on the camera. So you add this, it's gonna be saved, and this is how on-with is enabled on the Hikvision camera, for an example. If we now go on one of the cameras where it's already enabled, so in the live installation, you can see that here the camera settings is activated. When I click on it, there will be an overlay in the control center. And in the overlay, you have two sections. One section is the basic settings, and the second one is the advanced settings. In the basic settings, we have a set of settings which are very important that they are according to specification for our solution. So we show what is the current setting of the camera, and in case it's not the same, so here, for example, the codec, it's according to what we recommend, so it's fine, there is a check mark. But for example, the resolution is at 720 pixels, but we need to have 1080, so full HD. So the same for frame rate is on 825, and the overlay, it's enabled, disabled. So in order to show you that it works, I quickly close it, and you will see here there is a date overlay. And if I go to the camera settings, and now I have the basic settings, which shows me, okay, overlays enabled, disabled. So I want to apply all the recommendations from Swarm. I say apply recommendations. Now all the recommendations are applied. The camera frame is loaded new, and you see there is no overlay on the top right anymore. No overlay. So the camera settings are adjusted from the control center. Now if we jump back into it, because okay, now I have the general settings, but we know that each installation is a bit different in terms of brightness, in terms of lighting conditions. Sometimes I need to zoom a bit. So the different options we provide in advanced settings. So for example, you can see here the zoom. If I click on plus, you will see it's reloaded and it's zoomed. Now it's not focused. If I regenerate the image because the camera takes a bit to focus, you will see it's zoomed and focused. The same if I, for example, change the brightness to really dark and the contrast high, I apply the settings. And you will see that the image will get darker and the contrast will be higher. So this means you can adjust the image according to your lighting and environment conditions. And in case you are not happy with the settings you have done and you want to have the settings as before, when you have opened the camera settings page, you can revert the settings and you will see the brightness contrast goes back to the same values as before, and it looks the same. Great. So what on top, what is important as well is that the shutter speed you can change, which is especially relevant for all use cases where license plate needs to be visible. But there you can follow our setup guides in the documentation in order where we guide you there in order to use the best shutter speed for the conditions, so depending on the vehicle speed, for example. So now we want to configure for this solution now the advanced traffic insight. So which means I want to really configure a solution in order to have the journey time available. How does the journey time works in the background? You can read, there is a technical concept in our documentation for all details, but just for a short information, we are recording the license plate on the edge, but the license plate is encrypted on the edge and hashed, so means no license plate are transferred anywhere. So only an encrypted hash, which is a text, will be transferred into our cloud, and these hashes will be used in order to match journeys between several locations. So what means that we need to configure a counting line in order to, first of all, have the traffic counting available, and secondly, get the hashed license plate within the event in order to match the journeys between several locations. So as you know, we have the track calibration available, which shows you where the tracks are moving. So which is always helpful in order to know where to place a counting line. So if you go to traffic events, you place the counting line and you place it to a point where you know that you can reach most of the tracks. For the license plate recognition, it's important that you give the algorithm the time in order to detect the license plate, so to read the license plate as often as possible. So in this case, when the cars are coming from the top to the downside, here it's important to place it as low as possible, so having enough time to read the license plate, but still capturing all the tracks on this side. As usual, you can name a counting line. For example, here I would write both lanes. You can change the in-out direction. And what is new as well, for any of the traffic counting features, you can now give a custom name for the direction, because in and out might be different for each installation. So for example, in this case, you would write in is west and out is east. So during analysis of the data, you know, okay, it's here in Innsbruck Westbahnhof direction west, so it's more understandable for customers. And as already mentioned, for example, here detections are only relevant in a certain area. So we want to cover these 2 lanes. So it's no need that, for example, I have the pedestrians here on the side, or I have here the trams in the picture. So that's why you can now as well configure the focus area. So in global settings, you have now the option to add the focus area. So you add a focus area, and it's just a square where you can configure which area you want to have in the focus for this use case. So for example, here I would put these 2 lanes. And as well, the track calibration here helps as well in order to know on which, with the perspective where the tracks are moving. So for example, I have this focus area configured now. And this means that only detections in this focus area will be considered in our algorithm, and only this one will be able to create events, which is as well important. For example, if you want to detect objects in a certain area, but you don't care about anything outside of this area, you can use this focus area as well for different use cases. But mostly relevant, it is for advanced traffic insights and for barrierless parking with AMPR. So before we save these changes, it's one thing which is important, because we have configured the counting line, but I need to tell the software that I want to have journey time generated. So which means here in the global settings, you have the option to enable journey time. So you need to enable the journey time here, and then we can save the changes. Okay, so now we are ready to set. So the sensor is configured. We have done the same already before for the other sensors. I will show you quickly, for example, here. There is the configuration for this sensor with the focus area for this lane, and we have the counting line, and we enable the journey time. So now all the configuration is done, and we want to jump right into data analytics in order to see how can I retrieve the information about journey time, journey distribution, and traffic counting. So as this said, with this new feature, with advanced traffic insights, you can have journey time, the distribution of the journeys, but on top you have the usual traffic counting. This means we are able to have one sensor for the complex traffic scenarios. So from the simple counting to the classification, up to the journey time and journey distribution. So when we go into our dashboarding, you might notice already from our previous releases, so nothing has changed in the dashboarding types, but we have added several widget types in order to retrieve journey time. So I've created already a dashboard for advanced traffic insights. You can see that in the configuration, it's a usual dashboard where I put the name advanced traffic inside, and I chose the traffic scenario, and I put a GPS coordinate. On top, I have added all these 3 cameras. And then I can go into the overview where I can have the widgets available. Before showing you all the different already configured widget, I will show you a workflow of how to add a journey time widget. So you go to new widgets. I put journey time demo. You choose the widget type journey times. And then what is opened is a map. And this is where we need the GPS coordinations from the different sensors, so from the different cameras. So as you see, the Westbahnhof one is the one we have just set. And now you have the options to, with clicking on the icons or choosing in the drop-down, to choose your journey, you want to have the journey time. For example, I want to have the journey time between 1 click Westbahnhof, so it's from, and 2, so if I click twice, I have it in 2 Innsbruck West. So I have this chosen from and to, so the journey from Innsbruck Westbahnhof to Innsbruck West, I want to have the journey time. In order to have the information on what kind of journey time I want to have, so it's an aggregated journey time where you can choose to have the average, median, or different percentile options. So for example, I add the percentile options on top, and maybe I remove the average, and I can say I have the median duration, and I want to have the percentiles, and here I can choose which 2 percentiles I want to show for the journey times. For example, I want to have the 85th percentile and the 15th percentile, and then I can say I want to have it aggregated by day. And on top, I can add, for example, a class in order to split the journey time by class, because I might be interested if trucks take longer than cars. And this is why you can segment it. Important for classes, for journey time, we support the classes car, truck, and bus. Because of the perspective from the front, the subclasses, as for example, car with trailer, are not considered. So a car with trailer will be considered as car. And then you choose the output. For example, here it will be a line output. I save this widget. And you can see now I have here from Innsbruck Westbahnhof to Innsbruck West, the different journey times. I will delete this widget, and now I can show you the other widgets on how they have already been created. So for example, here it's the journey time between 2 locations. So you see in green, it's from Innsbruck West to Inrhein-Uni, and in blue, it's from Innsbruck West to Innsbruck Westbahnhof. And you can see, for example, at here, one location, the difference between the 15th percentile, 85th percentile, and median of the journey time of this different from these 2 different journeys, and you can compare it over time. On top, as the journey time might be is irrelevant information, but as we have already the journeys matched, we are able to show the journey distribution. So how many vehicles have taken which journey? So you can see here in a matrix the distribution of the different journeys for a given day. So I have chosen a 7-day cycle. So, but you will see it for a certain day, and you have a slide bar in below where you can just move through the days and see how does the distribution change. On top, what you can do is to change these absolute values into relative values, because it might be only relevant to know how many percentage of the full journeys have taken which route in order to have a statistical distribution. Any of this information can be exported to CSV as usual. And for any of this information, we have the usual API call option where you see the example cur comment in order to retrieve the information via API. As mentioned, with this journey time and journey distribution widgets, you still have the option to have the standard traffic counting for these locations. So for example, you will see here the traffic counting over the day per direction, or the modal split for these use cases. Great. So that's been in a short overview of what we are able to do with journey time and journey distribution. Just in order to give you one input for the journey time and journey distribution, which is really important, it's because we retrieve the journeys by reading license plate. We give the accuracies in our documentation by providing a so-called penetration rate, which means that we say at one sensor how many for how many V-hikers are we able to read the right license plate in order that we can match the journeys. We are there currently at at above 60% penetration rate, which means that for 60% of the V-hikers, we are able to read the license plate in the right way. So if we combine two sensors, which means in a mathematical way, you have the 60% times 60%, so you have approximately 35 to 40% journeys matched, which is quite significant and which is definitely on the market level, for example, compared to Bluetooth sensors, definitely a bit higher of having really valuable information to retrieve journey distribution and journey times. But there are all the information covered in a detailed documentation in the accessible in our standard technical documentation link. So feel free to read about it. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat or come back to us anytime on this.
Yes, perfect. Thank you, Martin, for the very nice live demo. And as you already mentioned, I can imagine this was a lot of information and maybe a bit overwhelming. So yes, feel free to check out our technical documentation. You can find the link, in case you haven't bookmarked it, in the footer of our website. And sure, reach out whenever you like if you have any additional questions. Speaking of, we received the first questions.
Can we maybe first go to the Outlook?
Oh, sure. I was
that we don't forget,
questions.
Because as usual, before the after the release is before the next release. Mm-hmm. So we are already in the steps for the having new features for you available by June 2023. What do we plan to introduce for the next release is that we are extending our traffic insights solution area, which means we are adding an additional class for scooter. So an additional classification will be available. So all the scooters, you know, it's quite a trend in Europe. There are a lot of scooters in the cities, and there is a big market request of having classifications for scooters in order to add them into the modal split. We are introducing this in June 2023. And on top, we are having another classification, which is a trams classification, which will be mainly designed for tram detection in order to enable our partners, so you guys, to control traffic lights for tram. And clearly, one of our most important topics where we always work on, but in next release, we have a bit more dedicated view on this, is to increase model stability in various conditions. We have already started in this release to set up our testing strategy and everything even more detailed and in a better way of representing installations from the real world. So one example, our models are tested on 210 different scenes we are using, which are real world installations. So means no public available data. So this is really from installations, how swarm perception boxes would be installed like in real world. And this is how we ensure you guys to have available the most stable models and release even models with even better accuracies in the future. On top, which is definitely a big point for the future, is that we are starting to enable multi-tenancy for our customers. So, which means in the first step in June 2023, we are having the option that small evaluation customers are able to have a one tenant, so one multi-tenant with sub-tenants below, in order to manage, for example, if you're an integrator and have several customers, you will have one control center and you will be able to manage several customers in this control center and give access to customers only to certain boxes with certain roles. And what we are doing clearly, based on the feedback we will receive from the advanced analytics, so the advanced traffic insights for journey time, journey distribution, we will work on this feedback, and we want to make, so one thing which is really important for us, to have easy and digestible data visualization. So feel free to provide us any feedback. We are happy, and we reserved some time in the coming release to even improve these advanced traffic insights. On a hardware perspective, this is nothing what will be launched, but we want to provide you an outlook on what we are doing in environments. So we are going to test the future, a new chipset available from NVIDIA, in order to see what kind of performance potential and quality improvements we will have with this hardware option, in order, for example, to run bigger models on our hardware and have better accuracies. Evaluate, is there option to have several cameras on one edge device. So this is really impact. So to see the impact and potential for the future, to give you an outlook then in summer on how you can expect Swarm in 2024.
Very nice outlook. And sorry for interrupting.
No worries.
Very high. Okay, let's see. We received some questions. I would say first, let's start with the more general ones. The first one would be like, how many vehicles classes can our system detect? I would say it's not in regard to journey time, but if it is, maybe you can give two answers then.
Yeah, sure. So in general, our system software can detect 10+1 classes, which are 8 classes in the motorized traffic. So the 8 classes are according to BAST, so it's the German standard. So depending on in which country you are working, feel free to come back to us. We have a mapping to the different standards in the different countries, but the 10 classes are from car, bus, truck, with subclasses car with trailer, truck with trailer, van, and on top of these 8 classes we have person and cyclists, so bicycles, and on top in June the scooter. So currently it's 10+1 for the advanced traffic insights. So for journey distribution and journey time, it's important to know that we support our main classes. So the main classes in terms of vehicles, everything which has a license plate are car, bus, and truck. So for the journey time, we offer you to distribute it in these 3 classes. One important thing to mention, if you have a journey time installation and you put it according to you install it according to our specifications, and there is a bicycle lane next to it, you are still able to detect these bicycles. So means the software is not restricted that if you enable journey time that it will not detect bicycles or pedestrians. This will still be possible. It's just we match journeys only for car, bus, and truck.
Okay, thank you. Next question, is it real-time data? So I'm not sure if it's meant for the live demo or in general. So
the live demo is real-time.
So it's just a solid yes.
Yes, it's fully real-time. So means no video or images are transferred to a cloud. So everything is processed in real-time. That's the case for all of our use cases. And which is one of the most important things for us to be trustworthy. And the GDPR terms are one of the things which we write very high for the trustworthiness. So everything is calculated on the edge, and so real time means for us our algorithm takes approximately between 25 and 50 milliseconds. So
I would
yes,
say
it's real time.
Yeah. And next thing, regarding traffic measurement, do you have hardware which works on battery only?
That's a good question, and it reminds me that I forgot something. Currently in our product portfolio, it's not available, but yes, as already mentioned several times before, we are thinking about offering a DC variant. We have a prototype already running in our office, and we will be providing this by approximately May, so mid of April, May, to have an option available which is running on 9 to 24 voltage of DC power, which means that it can be operated with batteries. So yes, this will be available latest in May. But on this, we will definitely communicate with you guys via a newsletter.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. In between, just some feedback. Very great new functions. Hope we can implement them soon with customers. We couldn't agree more. Thank you very much. Next question. For the 60% ANPR accuracy that you said could be improved by having 2 cameras, would the cameras have to be located right next to each other? Sorry.
So at the end, it's not bringing it. It's not changing anything. But sorry. I need to get the question again. By having 2 cameras.
Yeah.
So at the end, it's one camera has the approximately 60% of ANPR accuracies. It's really important to know that this is between 24 hours, day, night, different weather conditions. So everything considered means at perfect conditions, we are able to receive much higher accuracies. So this is really the real world. If you combine 2 cameras, if you have a churn, if you want to match a churn, it's always 2 cameras. That's why I mentioned if you have 2 cameras, you need to multiply the accuracies in order to know how many journeys you will be able to match between two journeys. If you have at one installation, for example, at one location, 4 lanes, for example, you need to have 2 cameras because you can only have 2 lanes covered in 1 camera in order to read the license plate properly, which means you don't need to combine them. We give you an option in the future to group them together in different sites, but this has no impact into the accuracy. I hope I understood the question correctly. Otherwise, feel free to contact me directly and we can have a discussion on that.
Thank you very much, Martin. Let's keep it going. Next question would be, can I disable the blurred preview frame?
Yes, as shown during the live demo, can quickly go into it again. Not everyone can disable the blurred preview frame, but if you're an admin, you have the option to receive the, I need to go to the good camera. You have the option to choose the preview frame from camera admin and it will be not blurred. So yes, this option is available, but only for admins. If you're annoyed by having this information about why this frame is pixelated, it's just an information, you can just remove and hide the message and it will be not shown the message anymore.
Okay, but the default situation is it's blurred?
The default situation is blurred
admins.
For anyone as well. If you're an admin and you enter, the default one is blurred. And then if you if you want to retrieve it, you really need to choose the camera admin and have the good role.
Okay, perfect. And then we have some more questions regarding the new journey time feature. Can journey time be used via custom MQTT?
So custom MQTT means that you get the raw events. So all the time a vehicle is crossing a counting line, a raw event will be sent to your MQTT broker. Because journeys need to be matched between 2 sensors, This cannot be done on the edge because the two locations most likely have two different edge devices, which means no, it cannot be used via MQTT because the matching of the journeys is done on our side on the cloud. Important, not with the license plate, with the encrypted and hashed license plate, which are pseudonymized data. And this pseudonymized data will be anonymized after 12 hours because after 12 hours, we even delete the hashes. So there is no way anymore after 12 hours to have pseudonymized data. And in the 12 hours, there is no way in order to encrypt back to the original license plate.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. And last question, at least for the moment. What is the minimum or maximum journey time that can be measured?
That's really good. So what we have done at the moment, because between two locations, if we consider that a journey can take 12 hours, you can imagine that we might have some false journeys matched because a car entered one location, drove to the city, maybe 3 times around, and 12 hours it came back. This is currently, so we have put the maximum journey time on our end, which means that between two locations, the journey is 30 minutes. So if it's above 30 minutes, we will not consider it as a journey. Really important, your feedback. If you say 30 minutes is there are journeys which take definitely longer than 30 minutes, let us know. One important thing, if you have 3 locations, we can match your journeys between 3 different locations. So meaning going from A to B to C. Then the 30 minutes are between 2 locations and not between A, B, and C.
Okay, thank you. I think I got it. If I got it, then our experienced customers and partners also got it.
Yeah, and otherwise we are always happy if you contact us and
yes,
yeah, we can have more detailed discussion on these different points.
Perfect. No more questions at the moment. So I would say let's finish up right here. In case you still have some feedback or questions or whatsoever, feel free to get in touch anytime. And I would say at this point, thank you for being here with us. Again, first release of this year. Looking forward to the next one and talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.